Here's the partner test from a couple days ago. I'm gonna go over all of, all of these, okay? Are you ready? John, are you ready?
Don't call me out.
Don't call you out? Okay. When you see this arc sign, you know it means this is the same thing, right? Okay. Now, you're in one of two quadrants. If it's a positive ratio in its sign, you're in quadrant 1. If it's a negative, you're in quadrant 4. So you're looking for the angle who is in quadrant 1, because this is positive. So you are an angle whose side opposite over hypotenuse is a root 3 over 2. What angle am I? What am I?
Pi over 3. Oh,
It's a 60 degree, pi over 3. 60 degrees. Okay, number 2. It says arc cosine. For cosine, you're in 1 if it's positive and quadrant 2 if it's negative. So when I say negative, this fraction is negative. So I'm an angle, I'm in quadrant 2. I'm in quadrant 2. I'm an angle in quadrant 2, therefore I have to be between pi over 2 and pi. What angle am I whose adjacent over hypotenuse is a negative 1 to 2? Well, I could think of it this way. This is a 60 degree angle, right? How do you write 60? Pi over 3.
Pi over 6. Nope. I'm sorry.
Pi over 3. This angle is pi over 3, right here. So what's this angle?
2 pi over 3.
2 pi over 3.
That was very off.
Do you get that, John?
That was not nearly close.
No? Yes? Okay, arc tan, you're in quadrant 3, 1 if it's positive, quadrant 1 if it's positive, and quadrant 4 if it's negative. So when I say a negative root 3 over 1, this is, John, this is the angle I am. It's negative root 3 and that's 1. What angle is this? What is it?
Well,
Negative
I guess.
60, so negative pi over 3. Number 4. I want to know at 3 pi over 2, which is right here, here's 3 pi over 2, this ordered pair is 0, negative 1. Can you tell me what the sine ratio is right there? Well, sine is defined as y over r. So what is the y value right here at 0, negative 1? What's this right here? This is negative 1. So now I want to know the angle whose ratio is negative 1. And because it's arc cosine, I'm in quadrant 1 if it's positive and 2 if it's negative. So something tells me I'm in this area right here, right? Because it's not positive, so it's not here. When you see arc cosine, you're in 1 or 2. So it's either here or here. Well, which one's what's the definition of cosine? It's x over r. Where do you get an x? What angle do you get an x value that's negative 1? At pi. Answer's pi.
Oh.
That was a tricky one.
Okay, next one. Arc cosine. Okay, so it's either 1 or 2. Well, it's 1. Why is it 1? Why am I going to put this in quadrant 1? Because it's positive. So what angle is this right here? It's a 30, so pi over 6. So now I want to know what is the sine of a 30-degree angle? Well, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so it's 1 and 2. Number 6, cosine of pi. Well, where's pi? Pi is right here at negative 1, 0. And cosine is x over r, so this whole thing is negative 1. So I wanna know arc tan, -1. Well, when you see the word arc, and it's tangent and it's negative, you're in quadrant 4. 1 if it's positive, 4 if it's negative. What angle am I whose side opposite over adjacent is a -1? We want a -1 ratio here.
Negative
What
pi
angle
over
is
four.
this?
Negative pi over four.
-pi/4. Next one. This is a chapter 6 problem. You are, bless you, you're 7 pi over 6. You're 7 pi over 6 right here. 7 pi over 6. So what quadrant is 7 pi over 6 in? It's quadrant 3. So I need to figure out these sides. Both of these sides are gonna be negative, and obviously the radius is gonna be positive. So if from here to here is pi, this is gonna be pi over 6. It's a 30-degree angle. So this is gonna be -1, this is gonna be -√3, and this is a 2. So what is the sign of this angle right here? It's opposite over hypotenuse. So this answer is -1/2. So I want to know the angle whose opposite over hypotenuse is a -1 to 2. So when you see arc sign with a negative, what quadrant are you in?
Four.
4. So what angle am I whose opposite over hypotenuse is a -1 to 2?
Negative pi over six.
30.
It's -pi/6, it's 30 degrees. Number 8, arc sine. When you see arc, you're gonna go, oh, okay, I have to be in quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, this will be -2 and this will be 3. So you've gotta figure out what this side is. How do you figure out what this side is? Using the what theorem?
Pythagorean.
So -2 squared plus x squared equals 3 squared. What's x squared? 5. What's x? Square root of 5. So now, all I did was I positioned this triangle in quadrant 4 because of the word arc and the fact that it's negative. If it were a positive 2/3, it'd be in quadrant 1. If it said arc cosine, we would be in quadrant 2 with a negative. If it said arc tan, you'd call this -2 and this 3. You guys get this? Okay, now I want to know what's the cosine of this triangle. What's the definition of cosine?
Jason over hypotenuse.
So what's the answer? √5/3. Number 9, arc sine. Well, I'm in quadrant 1, and this is going to be opposite and hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse. So now I need to figure out what this side is. So I'm going to do 1 squared plus x squared equals u squared. And x squared is going to be u squared minus 1. Square root both sides. So that's what this is right here. Now I want to know what's the cotangent of this angle. What's the definition of cotangent? Adjacent over opposite. So it's square root of u squared minus 1 over 1.
He's been stupid mistakes.
Backside. What do you do with this 2 right here? Divide by 2. So you have sine 2x equals -√3/2. Okay, now, ignore this 2, this 2x. Draw a triangle always in quadrant 1. Always, that's your reference angle that's going to help you figure out what the other angles are. So what angle is this? If it were positive, if it were in quadrant 1, what angle is this? It's 60 pi over 3, right? But that's not the answer, because I want to know the quadrants to which sine is negative in. what quadrants is sine negative in? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw this 60-degree angle in quadrant 3 and in quadrant, I wanna know this angle and the angle in quadrant 4. So in other words, that angle. So from here to here, I wanna know, what's that angle that has a 3 at the bottom in quadrant 3? What's it called? On the board if you wanna look
4.
at it. It's 4, from here to here is 4 pi over 3. Now, see this answer? It's gonna happen here, it's gonna happen again, and again, and again, and again. So we're adding and subtracting multiples of 2k pi to that. You're gonna set this equal to what? 2x. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, or multiply by half. So it's 2 pi, if you could write 4 pi over 6, or you could reduce 2 pi over 3. So 2 pi over 3 plus or minus k pi, that is one of your answers. Now, is there another quadrant where sine is negative in? Quadrant 4. What's the name of that angle that has a 3 in the bottom of it in quadrant 4? It's 5 pi over